More news on the Baltimore bridge collapse. New underwater 3D images show the sheer magnitude of the salvage operation ahead. Local, state, and federal officials have yet to offer a timeline for salvage crews to completely remove the collapsed bridge from the main shipping channel entering the port of Baltimore in Maryland. On Tuesday morning, the Baltimore District U.S. Army Corps of Engineers published new 3D images of the wreckage at the bottom of the shipping channel on social media. The 3D images show the sheer magnitude of the very difficult, challenging salvage operation ahead, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers said on Facebook. The post continued, and the underwater sonar imaging tool known as CODA Octopus is the primary survey tool used by divers, with visibility clouded to just 1 to 2 feet because of the 4 of the 5 feet of mud and loose bottom of the Patapsco River. The divers are forced to work in virtual darkness because when lit, their view is similar to driving through a heavy snowfall at night with high beam headlights on. So murky is the water, divers must be guided via detailed verbal directions from operators and vessels topside who are viewing real-time CODA imagery, the Army Corps of Engineers point out, and they add that no usable underwater video exists of the wreckage because, as one Navy diver put it, there is no need to take video, something you cannot even see. The complexity of this salvage operation suggests the main shipping channel will be closed for weeks, if not months ahead. Salvage crews at the Port of Baltimore have opened up to a temporary channel to keep commercial traffic flowing 1 week after the collapse of the 1.6-mile-long Francis Scott Key Bridge. Officials said the narrow channel is only 11 feet deep, with 264-foot horizontal clearance and a 95-foot vertical clearance. Small barges were seen passing through the new channel as the main shipping channel remained clogged, with the mangled steel bridge twisted around the container ship Dali. So this marks an important first step along the road to reopening the Port of Baltimore, U.S. Coast Guard Captain David O'Connell, federal on-scene coordinator, said. O'Connell said, by opening this alternate route, we will support the flow of marine traffic into Baltimore, he said. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg said Sunday that the federal officials have no timeline for reopening the main shipping channel or rebuilding the bridge. On Monday, the Department of Defense stated 3 massive cranes have arrived at the collapsed bridge. The DoD added an additional 400-ton lift capacity barge is on track to arrive early next week. On Monday evening, U.S. Coast Guard Rear Admiral Shannon Gilreath told reporters that salvage operations underneath the water are even more complicated than initially imagined. And at the same press conference, Governor Wes Moore said, we're talking about something that is almost the size of a Statue of Liberty, and the scale of this project, is to be clear, is enormous, and even the smallest tasks are huge. Even with temporary channel reopening, activity at the Port of Baltimore has crashed and will remain paralyzed until the main shipping channel is reopened. CBS News' Alex Glaze spoke with Scott Cowan, president of local chapter of International Longshoremen's Association, who warned, if there are no ships, there's no cargo. If there's no cargo, there's no work. Coleman said thousands of unionized port workers could lose their jobs. ILA leaders have met with state and federal officials about the situation. Maryland Senate President Bill Ferguson introduced emergency legislation to the General Assembly to provide stymie checks for ILA workers. The bridge collapse could have been avoided, or at least not be a total disaster, if Maryland officials had not neglected to spend millions of dollars to install anti-ship strike barriers around critical bridge supports. Also, despite the federal government immediately coming out 1 week ago saying the container ship, the strike was not terror-related, some users on X continue to float the idea this could have been deliberate. And this is on Zero Hedge by Tyler Durden. It's a good idea, of course, to after this event has taken place, they should put anti-ship strike barriers around critical bridge supports. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.